Good morning. My name is Sergeant Paul Maycook with the Connecticut State Police Fire and Explosion Investigation Unit. Last evening at approximately 6:15 p.m., the Connecticut State Police Fire and Explosion Investigation Unit was requested by the Town of Roxbury Fire Marshal's Office to assist at the scene of a structure fire at the town firehouse. Simultaneous to that call coming in, another call came in a couple of miles away, also in the town of Roxbury. Detectives from the State Police Fire and Explosion Investigation were dispatched to the scene, along with detectives from the Western District Major Crime Squad, given the nature of the incident that occurred at the firehouse and at the residence. It was quickly learned that these two incidents in the town of Roxbury were related to fires that occurred in the cities of Meriden and the town of Old Saybrook just hours preceding these fires. Detectives and local and state and federal authorities gathered at these scenes and began to collect information. We began to process these scenes, and a suspect was developed. That suspect was broadcast throughout the entire state of Connecticut and the adjoining states, including New York and Pennsylvania. Within hours of that suspect being developed and these fires occurring, the Pennsylvania State Police took that suspect into custody after a traffic stop in Milton, Pennsylvania. At this time, the suspect remains incarcerated in Pennsylvania and is awaiting extradition back to Connecticut to face charges in each of these municipalities. Currently, we're working with the state's attorneys from Middletown, New Haven, and the Litchfield jurisdictions to prosecute these cases and to develop additional charges.
About how many fires overall in total? How many fires were there?
At this time, we are aware of 4 separate fires that occurred yesterday with the same suspect.
Why do you think the ones in Saybrook and Meriden are related to Roxbury?
The evidence at the scene that we have uncovered and collected is similar in all incidents. Currently, as part of our investigation, as part of our processing of the scenes, we've collected evidentiary items that will be submitted to the forensics laboratory for analysis, and at that time we'll be able to confirm our findings and our suspicions of further connection to these different scenes.
The simultaneous calls for Roxbury, the one at the residence and one at the firehouse, did you provide the residence, or was there anything unusual about the residence fire?
At this time, all we can tell you is that the residence, there was a connection to the suspect from that residence, and so we believe that residence was specifically targeted, as was the firehouse, as were the other facilities in Meriden and Old Saybrook.
There was a fire at that residence?
That's correct.
Do you know the connection to Pennsylvania? Why Pennsylvania?
At that point, I have no information at this time.
And do you know what exactly was composed of Molotov cocktails?
At this point, we're still analyzing that, and I'm really not going to comment on what those incendiary devices consisted of.
Do you know how, in terms of damage, how much damage was done?
We're still assessing that, and I'm still trying to, we're obviously still documenting those scenes and trying to determine how much damage. But there was significant amount of smoke damage, especially to the firehouse in Roxbury, which wasn't structurally damaged, but there was there's going to be a lot of smoke-associated damage to that building.
Do we know any connection that Richard White had to EMS services or?
At this point, that information is still being gathered, and I don't have that information at this point.
Did you say he's the only suspect? Are there any other people you might think might be involved?
At this point, he is our only known suspect, although, again, the investigation is still active. We are still, following leads, so we're still looking into all of that.
When he's extradited, will he be extradited? And if so, where will he go? Meredith, Saybrook, here.
That's unclear at this point. We don't know. Obviously, he's subject to a waiver hearing in Pennsylvania to waive his extradition to come back to Connecticut. We anticipate that will likely happen within the coming week. And at that point, it'll be up to the various states' attorneys to determine where he is coming back to now. I can tell you that the warrant that was served on him last night in Pennsylvania, the fugitive warrant, was from Middletown, from the Old Saybrook incident.
What time he was arrested in Pennsylvania?
I don't have that exact time, but I know that it was within, I believe it was within 4 hours of the last fire. So I want to, you know, I can't comment exactly on the time, but it was within just a few hours of the last fire that was reported in Roxbury.
Do you know where in Pennsylvania he was arrested?
He was arrested on Route 180 Route 80 in Milton, Pennsylvania, by the Pennsylvania State Police.
From the evidence you collected so far, has any witness come up and they kind of gave you a warning beforehand that this was going to happen, or any kind of red flags that kind of came about beforehand?
I don't have that information. I do know that this all unfolded very quickly over a very short amount of time. The first fire, it was reported in Old Saybrook shortly after 4 o'clock, and the last fire in Roxbury was reported shortly after 6 o'clock. So everything that occurred last night happened in a very rapid time frame.
What was the time in Meriden?
I believe the time in Meriden was about 5:15, but I'd have to refer back to those reports, and I don't have those in front of me now.
Any other details from Meriden's fire?
I don't have those at this time.
Have you heard anything from the state attorney about what they plan to charge tonight?
The warrant that was charged last night was a burglary charge and an arson and a third-degree charge. All the other charges that will be forthcoming are still subject to the outcome of these investigations that are happening currently actively.
Could you explain why burglary?
At the time of the fire in the Old Saybrook facility, he was not allowed to, or not permitted to be in that building.
What was the building in Old Saybrook?
The Old Saybrook facility was the main garage of Hunter's ambulance.
In Meriden?
It was also a Hunter's ambulance facility.
Was he connected with Hunter's ambulance?
I don't have that specific information.
Sorry, just for clarity, it's Old Saybrook, the Meriden, and then what were the two others?
Roxbury, 27 North Street in Roxbury, which is the firehouse, and then 117 Camillus Road West in Roxbury.
So one Roxbury, one in Meriden, and Old Saybrook.
Correct. 2 Roxbury, 1 Meriden, 1 Old Saybrook.
Because it was crossing state lines, I'm guessing he was trying to flee. Is like FBI involved? Anybody else involved?
I will say that our federal partners are involved with the investigation. They were notified last night, and we are working in conjunction with both the FBI and the ATF, as is customary in many of these investigations that we do.
Has anything been reported in Pennsylvania that he could have allegedly done?
At this point, I don't have that information. Okay. All right.
Will we have a copy of the warrant from Middletown?
I don't have that. I think if you call the Old Saybrook Police Department, they might be able to release that, but I don't have that. I don't have that material.
And again, sorry for clarity, were all 4 fires started with the cocktail?
All 4 fires were intentionally set, and we've recovered evidence that's similar in all 4 fires.
Saybrook,
One in Saybrook, 1 in Meriden, and then 2 in Roxbury.
you know his criminal history, Richard White?
I don't have that information, no.
And he knew somebody in the house in Roxbury?
We're still trying to determine the exact connection for the residential fire in Roxbury.